Hi, today I want to show you how you can block out some chords and play the block chord style. And the block chord style is pretty much like this. For example. So it's based on this principle that you, for example, play the C scale in octaves, and then you add one note to it. So this one, and then you call it a C bebop scale. And what you do then is that you play the melody still with both of your hands, and underneath you play the chords, and you add sixths, a lot of those sixths, and then on every other key you add diminished chords like this. And if you want to get more fancy, you can drop two, which is more like instead of playing this one here, you play it down here. And then you play the same scale. But I want to show you an exercise that I've been working with a lot. And it goes like this. So you play the 2-5-1 progressions. So it's going to be 2-5 to 2-5 to 2-5 to 1. And I'm going to change to D flat and play 2-5, another 2-5, and 2-5, and another 2-5, and end on F. So that's 2-5 progressions, lots of 2-5 progressions, okay? And one way to do that in block chord style is to play like this. And you need the bass underneath, so I'm gonna put on the bass very soon. And then on the dominant 7th chord, the G7 for example, you play a flat 9 and a flat 13, and then you continue the same way. And with the band, it's going to sound like this. So that's one way of doing it. And the other way is to go like this. So you move your left hand down. So you have, now you're playing tenths. It's tenths all the time. And so on. So let's try that with a band. And the next trick I want to show you is on the dominant 7th chord. You can play, instead of playing the dominant 7, you play a 6th or add 13. So if you play a G chord, it could come out like this. And you're adding this note, and you're adding this note as well. So you're adding the 13th, and you're adding the flat 9. And play the octave as well here. And what you do here, and I learned this from Bill Evans, by the way, not directly from him, but he taught me through his music. So he was playing a lot of movements like this. So we move that note or you move that chord up minor third steps. So it's going to be like this, and it's going to be like this, and it's going to be like this. And you can move ascending and descending. And this is a very strong chord, so you shouldn't do that too much, but if you do it occasionally, it would sound like this. Yeah, so there you have 3 things that you can work on, and when you combine all of these into a song and play it together with something else, it might come out like this. While the music is playing, here is a summary. You can block any chord in any tune, but it's most common to block the chords in ballads such as this one, or in medium swing tunes such as A Lullaby of Berlin. And I think of it like this. You insert an octave and play the melody in octaves, where the octave is blocking the chords from going anywhere outside of the octave. And in other words, you're playing the chords between the octave. If you want to get more fancy with it, you could also drop 2. So now you're both blocking the chords and dropping 2. So how should you practice the block chords? I suggest the following steps. 1. Listen a lot to Bill Evans, Milt Buckner and George Shearing, and listen to how they're blocking when they're playing. 2. Copy note by note one of them until you get the point. And this job, it takes some time, but honestly, I would never be able to crack the code if I didn't copy note by note one of the block experts. 3. Practice the bebop major scale and add a 6th or a 7th on every other scale note and a diminished chord on every other note in the scale. 4. Try to use the technique until it's overused so you really get to know the block chord technique. And 5, and most importantly, work with specific exercises of this topic if you really want to master it. And I've created a block chord exercise together with a play along track that I was using that you can download for free by clicking on the link under this video. Also, I will give you the song I was playing that is fairly easy to start with when you're starting with block chords. So, I hope it helped, and please, if you like this, please hit like and subscribe and share it, and whatever you do, take care of your music today. See you soon.